Hi, I'm Liz Larson with The Art of Frosting, and it's coming up on 4th of July. So we're all going to need to make 4th of July cakes. I've got a little 3-tiered stack one mini cake. Now there's a lot of things we can do with this. It's kind of a fancy 4th of July cake. It would be great for a military man or woman who's returning home. Veterans Day, Memorial Day, there's a lot of uses for this. Also, a wedding that might be near the 4th of July season that someone wants that kind of decor. So there's a lot of uses for this little cake. We also have it set up on this beautiful pedestal platter, and I'll be showing you how to use that too. Before we get started, I have a special shout out to Manar in Baghdad. I hope I'm saying your name right. We all know her as Lavender on The Art of Frosting on Facebook. She wrote me recently and gave me the great news. She has started a cake decorating business in Baghdad. So Manar, congratulations, best of luck. We'll all be watching for your cakes still at The Art of Frosting on Facebook. So if you've started a business recently based on the techniques that I'm teaching here, I'd love to hear about it. Let me know what the name of your business is too, and I'll give you a shout out. Let's get started. So we're doing some things a little different this time. This is actually a big candlestick that I found at a home goods store. You might even be able to find them at some of the secondhand places, but it's just a tall candlestick. I've actually got a crystal platter that I've turned upside down. I'm going to take my crystal platter and place the whole thing on here. So it's going to make this tall, gorgeous display for our cake. I started with an 8-inch round, just a single layer split and filled, a 6-inch round, single layer split and filled, and just a 3-inch round, split and filled. So I don't have double layers here. I do have just a little bit of doweling and boards in between. So if you don't know how to stack a cake, watch How to Stack a Cake video. You still don't want this one sliding or tipping over. I've got just a number 23 star tip. You could even go smaller because this is a tiny cake. I just want to do some garlands. We're going to start about the middle, squeeze, let it build. We want them to be real tight, roughly. Just about like that. And we'll go all the way around the top and the bottom. On the bottom, we want to start in the middle between these two. And go around that way. We're going to come back in and just make a little rosette right here at the base of each. Just a little rosette. We want this to have kind of a stately look, even though it's a tiny little cake. We want it to almost look like presidential elections, very stately. Next, we're going to do our color striping trick again. But this time we want to put the heaviest amount of color at the fat end of our tube. I'm going to use number 127, a pretty large rose tip. I'm using a Wilton red gel paste. So any kind of gel paste will work. This red has been pretty good lately. I know that we've all been struggling with our reds out there, so Wilton, if you're listening, we're struggling with the red. So a red right up the side. I've also got some red icing mixed up. And this is a good trick for red because a lot of times it's hard to get that pure color. So go ahead and do a stripe of the raw color and then a line of some that you've mixed with red as well. So you can see I've really got maybe about 1/3 of the bag with the red. And you want to be really careful not to get it on the opposite side. We're going to fill with white. So this is another trick. We're going to use the bag that we used for the white with the star tip in it and put it down in our bag and fill that way. It's another way not to smear or spread the red because we really want them defined for this that we're doing. Get it shaked down in and then squeeze your bag until you get the color stripe that you want. So next, we're going to mess up some of these garlands that you made. And we're going to take our bench knife or a ruler or a knife, spatula, and we're going to create diagonals. And start at kind of the base of one of these and come across. Just create a line. Then start where that one ends and come back across. just like that. Now you could go all the way up, but we're going to actually do flowers up here, so we're going to leave it just like that. We want to start with the tip, the fat part of the tip down, and we're going to make a drape. Just let it drape and come up. And then one more. Notice that I wipe the end of my tip all the time. You want a clean tip, come up just over the top of that. Now you have the top, the skinny part at the top, so you can create these heavy drapes at the bottom. And you can see our drapes are creating a red and white stripe. Let this one come just a little bit. Now the trick is you got to turn your bag over. So we were coming up this way before. Now we got to turn our bag over and come up this way. And just continue our drapes back up. You can let them swoop just a little. And there you go. There are our striped swags. So I'm coming back in with some roses. I've color striped my bag with a darker blue edge and a lighter blue for the base. Now, if you don't know how to pipe a rose on a stick, go to How to Pipe a Rose on a Stick here on this channel. I'll also link it, and you can learn how to make these roses. If you know how to make another flower, go ahead and use that one too. So I'm just going to take my rose and attach it right here in the corner of my swag, like so. And then I'm going to start to fill in our top. So a good idea while you're piping your roses is to spread them out a little bit, like I'm doing here. That way, as the color comes through your bag, it'll be spread out, and you don't end up with heavier color on one side of your cake and lighter on the other. That's the thing with color striping. You're going to end up with lots of different variations. Probably no two flowers the same. So I'm using the bag that we used for our banners, and I'm making a few red and white roses. Because our red is at the base, we're going to end up with mostly white rose. I have to be careful with this because it's going to turn into a really big rose, so I use really light pressure control and fewer petals. So I want to show you how to kind of fill in around the edges. You want to put just a little dot of icing there. It's going to create a base. So what happens on our edges, a lot of times the flower will want to fall down. So I'm just going to do a rosebud. So I'm going to do our center 3 petals and then 1 wraparound. So it's a smaller flower for one. It also gives us a little bit of diversity of flowers. And then you want to aim angle up, push your scissors in, and take your flower off. And it'll hold. The next thing I'm going to do is a little tricky. I want to put daisies in here because I want the element of gold as well, and I want to put yellow centers. So we're going to come in, start up over the cake, and we're going to do basically a ruffle. Squeeze out and release like that, like a big lazy ruffle. You're going to have to twist your cake and your wrist around. Come back around like this. So basically you're going to have to just keep adjusting so that you can get the right angle. It's not hard, but you do have to think about it a little bit as you do it. I'll show you one more time, just another angle. This is going to be easier. You also want to let it come up over your roses. Now you don't want to smash your roses with them, but let the petals fall over your roses. So I'm striping a parchment bag with just some yellow color. So I'm not actually going to make yellow. I'm just going to stripe a parchment bag with it. Then I'm going to use that white bag trick again for our daisies and fill that up. And then just take what's left on the palette knife and just spread it in there just a little bit. This saves us time and another dish to wash. So I just want to cut just a little tip off the end here. Now we're going to reuse this bag to make our leaves too. So we just want a little cut off the end, and we're going to come back in and create circles. Now, because this is striped, you're going to get a variegated center, which is really cool. And we're going to get that little pop of gold. I always love that little pop of gold on 4th of July cakes. So I've got my yellow in this bag and I've got some green on the end of this, and I'm going to create my green right in my bag for my flowers, for my leaves. So just tuck it down in, mix it around, and pull it out. And then what you want to do is just come back in and you're going to cut a V in the end. Just up one side and the other. Now it's a good idea to buy waxed parchment. It's a little bit heavier, holds up longer. Okay, squeeze it out till you get some yellow. Now you're going to have yellow and green leaves in here, and that's good. So just like we did with our flowers, we want to move around the cake so that we get a mixture of colors. And don't forget to turn your bag over this way and that. You'll get another mixture of colors that way. We're just doing a squeeze, a zigzag and release. Don't forget your zigzag or your straight leaves will be just a little too straight. And just fill in. So the last little bit is to add some ribbons. Now you could have left it just like it was, but I add more because more is more, right? Also, I like the idea of a little bit more height, and I also like the idea of it kind of looking a little bit like fireworks. So the trick is you just cut a little piece of curling ribbon. I have a spool here, so just maybe 6 inches. You want to pinch it in half, just like that, and then just tuck it between a couple of flowers in your top here. Make sure the 2 ends stay together, and when you let go, it just pops up. And then I added a few pieces here of curling ribbon down below. Now this could have been red, white, and blue. It could have been gold, metallic gold, or even silver. Or like I said, you could have just left it off. Now, the last bit is we want to stick it up onto our pedestal. Now this pedestal, remember I said it was a candlestick, has a couple of elements on it. Some double stick tape, because we don't want your platter going flying off. That's the last thing. And a little felt pad. Now, what you do is you take this to wherever you're going to display the cake and put it together there. You don't want to try to deliver it on the pedestal. So just take it off, and it's good to have a second pair of hands to see that it's level. Or if you're used to stacking cakes, make sure that you're feeling under there and that it feels like it is equal distance. Press it down, make sure it's secure, test. And also it's a great idea to have this be in the center of your table and not where a little kid could not get over. So this was fun. We learned a few new elements. One thing is, don't be afraid to mess around with the tools that you have, like turning your cake platter upside down or using a candlestick to elevate your cake. The other thing is we also used 3 small single layer cakes to make a stacked cake. It looks like a little mini wedding cake. It's not a huge amount of cake, but it makes a great display. So we also learned how to combine some roses and some daisies right on this little topper. So this is a lot of fun. I think you can use this cake for a lot of different things. You can join us at Facebook at The Art of Frosting, where decorators just like you from all over the world are sharing their amazing work with us. You can find me at www.theartoffrosting.blogspot.com, where there's a full body of my work, and you can just search anything that you might be interested in. You can find me at Etsy, etsy.com, at The Woodshop TV, all one word, where you can find my jewelry. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great 4th of July. We'll see you all again soon.